Imagine trying to paint like a masterpiece. You've got this image in your head of a truly breathtaking, vivid sunset, right?
Oh yeah, like all the colors.
Exactly. So you open your art kit, ready to translate that vision onto the canvas, but well, you find you only have 4 crayons: red, blue, yellow, and green.
Wow. Good luck with that.
Right. I mean, you can drag those colors across the page, and people might recognize that it's supposed to be a sky, but the picture is going to be incredibly flat.
Yeah, it completely lacks the subtle shades, the shadows, the magenta, the pale gold.
Exactly. The whole nuance of the experience is just entirely lost.
You end up presenting basically a cartoon version of a really complex reality. The general idea translates, sure, but the emotional resonance of that sunset simply isn't there.
And the crazy thing is, we do that to ourselves every single day.
We really do.
We walk around experiencing this vast, incredibly complex spectrum of human emotion, but when we open our mouths to describe it, we reach for the same 4 basic, almost caveman-like words.
Right. Happy, sad, mad, tired.
Exactly. So today, we are upgrading you to the 64-color box. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a curated stack of sources focused entirely on emotional vocabulary.
And this is such an important topic.
It really is. Our mission today is to equip you with the precise linguistic tools, the nuanced synonyms, the collocations, the idioms, to express exactly what is going on inside your head.
Because, honestly, the stakes here are actually incredibly high. Native English speakers rely on this vast array of idioms and synonyms, not just to, sound poetic or to decorate their sentences.
Right, it's not just about sounding smart.
No, not at all. The concept we really need to introduce here is emotional granularity.
Oh, I love that term.
It's great, right? When you have high emotional granularity, you can name exactly how you feel with extreme precision. And precision in language allows for a more honest, more connected human experience.
So you're bridging the gap between your internal world and the people around you.
Exactly. You stop saying, I'm fine, and start actually connecting with people.
Okay, let's unpack this. Every time we explore a new phrase today, we aren't just memorizing a definition. We are looking at how putting a hyper-specific label on a feeling might actually rewire how you experience it.
Yeah, the psychology behind it is wild.
So let's start with most common feelings on the spectrum, which are joy and sorrow. What really struck me in the sources is how scaling these emotions up or down completely shifts the social utility of the words.
Oh, absolutely.
Take the happy scale, for example. There seems to be a very clear dividing line between formal joy and informal joy.
Yeah, context completely dictates the language we use to process joy. I mean, in a professional setting or perhaps a formal gathering, receiving spectacular news doesn't usually result in shouting slang.
Right, you're not going to yell that you're hyped in a board meeting.
Exactly. You rely on words that communicate an extreme level of pleasure while maintaining, a certain dignity. Words like thrilled, delighted, or elated.
So a company CEO might be thrilled to announce a new product.
Yes. It signals high positive emotion, but the boundaries of professionalism remain completely intact.
But then you have the informal joy, which it throws dignity right out the window.
Totally out the window.
Like if you were with your closest friends and you find out you just got front row tickets to your favorite concert, elated sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, your friends would look at you like you're an alien.
Right, so the sources highlight these high energy, almost explosive expressions. You are on cloud 9. You are over the moon. You're thrilled to bits. Or you are grinning from ear to ear.
Notice how physical those metaphors are, too. You are no longer just experiencing an emotion inside your mind. The emotion has transported your physical body.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah, you have defied gravity to sit on a cloud, or your facial muscles are physically stretched to their maximum limit. The language communicates that the joy is too large for the body to contain.
That makes total sense. Actually, I want to grapple with one specific word on the happy scale that always confuses me a little.
Okay, what's the word?
The word giddy. I've always thought of it like drinking 4 shots of espresso. Just this nervous, vibrating, shaking energy.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate read on giddy?
Let's play with that espresso analogy for a second. Caffeine gives you a purely chemical, often jittery spike, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You might feel highly productive, or you might just feel incredibly anxious. The sources, however, isolate giddy as a very specific suspension of seriousness.
Oh, suspension of seriousness.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's a mix of dizziness and lighthearted excitement. It's not the caffeine shakes, it's the feeling that gravity has temporarily stopped working on your problems.
So you're not anxious, you're just floating.
Exactly. You might laugh at absolutely nothing. You are lighthearted to the point of literal disorientation. It's a wave of positive energy that overrides your logical brain.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's the dizziness of joy, not just a racing heart.
Precisely.
So if that is the peak of the happy scale, let's swing the pendulum to the other side. The sad scale.
Right, moving into the shadows.
Yeah. We all know words for mild sadness, like feeling blue or feeling down or saying you're just not really feeling it.
Sure.
But what the sources point out isn't really the definition of those words, but their passivity.
Yeah, they describe a lowered state of existence. You are operating at a deficit of energy. But as we scale up to intense sorrow, the language shifts from describing a lack of energy to describing the presence of a massive physical weight.
You aren't just down, you are down in the dumps.
Exactly. You don't just feel sad, you possess a heavy heart.
A heavy heart is such a visceral phrase. I mean, you hear it and you instantly imagine someone physically hunched over.
It really captures the physiological reality of grief. Neuroscientists have actually shown that the brain processes emotional pain in many of the same regions it processes physical pain.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
The same regions?
Yeah. So when you are deeply grieving, your chest actually feels burdened. The language evolved to reflect that somatic symptom. Consider the phrase having a lump in your throat.
Oh man, that agonizing feeling right before you start crying, where you literally cannot swallow or force words out.
Exactly. The English language perfectly captures that biological mechanism, which is literally the tightening of the glottis muscles as your nervous system prepares for tears and packages it into an idiom.
That is fascinating.
We take the invisible internal suffering and map it onto the physical body so that another human being can instantly recognize the severity of what we are going through.
And that physiological weight takes a massive toll on our cognitive load.
It absolutely does.
And when you carry it for too long, or you're just navigating the endless friction of daily life, that heavy emotion frequently degrades into something flatter.
Which brings us to a very modern problem.
Yes, the next stop in the source is modern burnout. This is the intersection where emotional fatigue collides with mental overload.
And making the distinction between types of fatigue here is crucial. We routinely default to saying, I'm tired, but there's a profound difference between a tired body and a depleted mind. The sources separate these beautifully.
Right, because physical tiredness is incredibly straightforward. You run a half marathon, or you spend 10 hours doing yard work, and you say you are worn out, or you are beat. Or, using British slang, you're knackered.
Right. The muscles are taxed. The solution is simple. You sit down and rest.
But mental and emotional fatigue utilizes a slightly different, much more insidious set of linguistic tools.
Exactly. You aren't just worn out, you are worn down. Think about the mechanical difference in that preposition shift.
Worn out versus worn down.
Yeah. Down implies a slow, relentless erosion over a long period of time, like water degrading a stone.
That's a great image.
Or you are burnt out, implying the internal fire has consumed every ounce of its fuel and all that remains is ash. You are drained, entirely emptied of resources.
And when you enter that drained state, you hit what the sources describe as lethargic,
Yeah.
where you just feel blah.
Blah.
I find it so fascinating that blah has practically become a clinically recognized emotional state in modern conversation. I mean, perfectly communicates a total lack of motivation.
Yeah.
You just want to become one with the sofa.
What's fascinating here is how the vocabulary shifts to describe cognitive failure. Once we reach that level of fatigue, we enter this fog of confusion.
The brain fog.
Exactly. When your brain is too deprived of fuel to function, you might tell someone you feel off. It's an analogy to a machine where the internal gears are slipping. Or you say you are stumped by a problem a rested version of you could solve in seconds.
You might experience mixed feelings simply because your brain cannot process enough data to arrive at a solid conclusion.
Right.
But out of all the vocabulary in the sources dealing with modern cognitive overload, I think hot mess has to be the most brilliant sociological tool.
Oh, hot mess is an absolute masterclass in modern slang. It perfectly encapsulates the condition of being absolute disorganized and radiating chaos, yet we use it incredibly casually.
Yeah, like You drop your coffee in the lobby, you realize you forgot your laptop charger, your hair is chaotic, and instead of spiraling into shame, you just laugh and say to your coworker, "I am a hot mess today."
Yes. It acts as a shield.
Exactly. It takes the shame out of the chaos by turning it into a relatable, almost endearing persona.
It really does.
Have you ever looked at a complex project at work, or even just like a dense instruction manual for a piece of furniture, and felt totally inept or inadequate?
Oh, all the time with furniture manuals.
Right, like you suddenly lost the ability to perform basic human tasks. That's when you stare at it and admit, I just can't wrap my head around this.
And that phrase, wrap my head around it, is a prime example of how we spatialize abstract concepts. It implies that the problem is a physical, three-dimensional object that your brain needs to physically stretch over to contain and understand.
Which takes energy.
Exactly. When you are drained, your brain lacks the elasticity to perform that maneuver.
Okay, so we are burnt out, our cognitive elasticity is gone, and we are wandering around in a fog of confusion. It makes perfect sense that the next progression in the sources is the boiling point.
Yes. Anger and frustration.
Yep. If we look closely at the vocabulary of anger, it is deeply stratified. There are distinct layers of escalation.
Right. The baseline is being annoyed. This language is reserved for small, everyday irritations. A fly buzzing near your ear or someone aggressively clicking a pen during a meeting.
Oh, the pen clicking.
Yeah, it is a low-level ambient buzz of negativity.
Then you graduate to frustrated. Frustration is the anger of blocked effort. Like you are trying to unscrew a tight lid and it won't budge.
Or your computer decides to run a mandatory update 3 minutes before a major deadline.
Exactly. You are exerting energy toward a goal and the environment is actively rejecting your effort.
And if that blocked effort continues over an extended timeline, frustration ferments into exasperation.
Exasperation, that's a great word.
It's a uniquely tired anger. It's the emotion of dealing with an annoying, repetitive situation. Picture the parent who has asked their children to stop bickering for the 7th time in an hour.
Yeah, they're not raging, they're just done.
Right. The primary emotion isn't rage, it is the total depletion of patience.
But then at the absolute summit of this escalation, we find the formal, extreme vocabulary. You are outraged. You are irate.
The anger that drafts a 6-page legal complaint.
Exactly, or yells at the city council. But I noticed a really strange pattern in the sources regarding the idioms we use when anger completely bypasses that formal language.
Oh, what kind of pattern?
Well, almost all of the explosive idioms relate to mechanical failure, structural damage, or fluid dynamics.
That is a brilliant observation, and it cuts to the core of why humans create idioms in the first place. We universally map anger to heat, pressure, and explosions because that is what the autonomic nervous system is doing.
Right, your blood pressure spikes, the face gets hot.
Exactly. The language mirrors the biology. You blow a fuse, you see red, you hit the roof, you fly off the handle.
You get bent out of shape. Which is wild, the idea that anger is such a powerful force. It actually twists your physical form.
It really paints a picture.
Actually, I want to test a nuance from the text with you.
Sure, go for it.
The sources discuss the phrases fed up and at your wit's end. To a casual listener, those might sound completely interchangeable, right?
Right.
Both just mean you are incredibly angry. How do we differentiate them?
There is actually a vital distinction between the two. Fed up originates from the literal concept of having eaten beyond capacity.
Oh, like you're physically stuffed.
Right. You are stuffed full of this terrible situation. You have reached your absolute limit of tolerance. It is a declaration of boundaries. You are stating, I will not consume 1 more ounce of this disrespect or annoyance.
Okay, so if my neighbor plays loud music every single night, eventually I am fed up. I'm drawing a line.
Precisely. At your wit's end, however, operates on a totally different axis. Wit, in this context, refers to your mental sharpness, your problem-solving intelligence.
So it's about your brain, not your patience.
Exactly. If you are at your wit's end, it means you have systematically exhausted every single solution you possess, and the problem remains unsolved. It is a potent cocktail of severe frustration and profound helplessness.
Right.
You aren't just angry, you are intellectually bankrupt.
That distinction completely changes how you communicate the problem. Like, I am fed up with the neighbor's music, but I am at my wit's end trying to fix the mysterious rattle in my car engine.
And using the precise phrase telegraphs exactly what kind of support you need from the person listening to you.
That is so true. Okay, so we've been dissecting emotions that build over time, anger, burnout, sorrow. But the sources shift gears into emotions that are entirely reactive. The sheer physicality of fear, surprise, and relief.
Right, these aren't emotions we project. They are events that happen to our bodies, completely bypassing the conscious mind.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where evolutionary biology really takes the steering wheel, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. When a threat appears, the sympathetic nervous system triggers the fight-or-flight response in milliseconds. And the English language reflects this biological hijack perfectly.
Like getting butterflies in your stomach.
Yes. You get butterflies because your body is literally restricting blood flow to the digestive tract to send it to your muscles. Or you break out in a cold sweat. An event sends shivers down your spine.
The imagery is just spectacular. You jump out of your skin.
I love that one.
Right. The fear hits your system with such velocity that your skeleton attempts to evacuate, leaving your epidermis behind.
It communicates the complete involuntary nature of a startle response. You do not elect to be surprised. And the sources offer fantastic vocabulary for the suddenness.
Like when an event happens out of the blue?
Exactly, referencing a lightning strike from a clear, cloudless sky.
And your physical reaction to that lightning strike is often a double take. You look once, your brain fails to process the unexpected visual data, and you violently snap your head back to run the calculation a second time.
And if the surprise is severe enough, the sources say you are stunned.
Oh, stunned. What's the background on that one?
Well, the etymology of stunned is fascinating. It originally referred to being struck on the head with a physical object so forcefully that you lose consciousness.
Oh.
Yeah. So in emotional vocabulary, it means that incoming information was so massive that your cognitive processing temporarily crashed, you were blown away.
But then, following that intense spike of fear or surprise, we hit what might be the most rewarding emotional state in the human experience.
The sweet release of relief.
Yes. Imagine you are on a grueling multi-day hike. You are carrying a 40-pound backpack. Your traps are burning. Your posture is compromised.
Sounds awful.
It is. But finally, you reach the campsite. You unclip the chest strap and let that massive bag plummet to the earth. That sudden, weightless euphoria. That is the exact mechanism behind the idiom, "A weight has been lifted off my shoulders."
It is the perfect metaphor because relief is fundamentally defined by the sudden absence of a severe stressor. It isn't the presence of joy, really. It is the evaporation of a threat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The sources highlight phrases like dodging a bullet. You are directly in the path of catastrophic damage. Perhaps you almost hit reply all on a highly critical email, but through sheer luck or a last-second maneuver, the damage was averted.
And what are the very first thing you do when you realize the bullet missed you? You take a breather.
You sit down and draw a massive inhale.
Because you realize you have been subconsciously holding your breath the entire time you were in danger.
Which brings us to the ultimate application of this entire deep dive. We have charted the internal landscape from the dizziness of Giddy to the paralysis of being stunned, but language is an inherently social technology. How do we take this incredibly precise 64-color vocabulary and use it to facilitate empathy and maintain social harmony?
Here's where it gets really interesting. Knowing you are a hot mess is useful for self-awareness, sure, but using this vocabulary to de-escalate a conflict or validate a friend is where the real power lies.
Absolutely. The sources provide a whole toolkit of phrases designed specifically to bind people together.
Validation is basically the structural integrity of empathy, right?
Yes. When another human being shares a vulnerability or a struggle, the impulse is often to try and solve the problem for them. But the sources highlight phrases of profound validation.
Like saying, "I feel ya," or "I know the feeling."
Exactly. You are not offering a solution. You are stepping onto their emotional landscape, looking around, and confirming that the terrain is exactly as difficult as they claim. It is an act of deep solidarity.
We also use specific phrases to navigate the minefield of awkwardness and shame, intentionally making others feel less isolated. Like you might say, "I wouldn't be caught dead wearing that," using extreme exaggeration to align your tastes with someone else's.
Right. Or, if a conversation suddenly veers into painful territory, you deploy the phrase, "too close to home."
Too close to home.
Yeah. It is a gentle way of signaling that a joke or a story just bypassed your defenses and struck a raw nerve.
And vulnerability builds trust, but any long-term relationship also generates friction. Maintaining social harmony requires knowing how to systematically vent that friction before it causes structural damage.
This is where we see language acting as a literal pressure valve. We all accumulate annoyance, but you can manage it by telling a trusted colleague, "I I just need to get this out of my system, or I need to get this off my chest.
And the architecture of those phrases is brilliant. You are framing a negative emotion as a toxic, foreign object trapped inside your chest cavity.
Exactly. You are signaling to the listener, hey, this is not an attack on you. I merely need to expel this toxin from my body verbally so I can return to a baseline state of calm. It asks for an audience without demanding a defense.
And when the conflict resolves, or you need to gracefully decline an invitation, you utilize the ultimate diplomatic tools. Like saying, we disagreed in that meeting, but no hard feelings.
It is a verbal contract declaring a friction is over.
Or you ask someone to cut him some slack. You acknowledge that a new employee is struggling, but you request that the group temporarily suspend its harsh judgment. It is a proactive invitation to extend grace.
You are utilizing language to actively smooth out the wrinkles in the social fabric. You identify the tension, name it, and then collaboratively agree to dismiss it.
So think about the last time someone asked how you're doing, and you defaulted to, I'm fine, or I'm tired. What if, instead, you had the exact word to convey the nuance of your experience?
It changes everything.
Moving beyond basic emotional vocabulary isn't about proving you read the dictionary. It is about rendering your internal world visible to the people around you. Whether you are telling a friend you are burnt out or telling a partner you are thrilled to bits, you are issuing an invitation for them to truly see you. Precise language is the foundation of authentic connection.
Which brings us back to the concept of linguistic relativity we mentioned at the start. This raises an important question, and it's a framework for you to interrogate long after this deep dive ends.
Oh, lay it on us.
If the words we possess dictate the boundaries of what we can communicate, do they also dictate what we can feel?
Whoa.
When you upgrade your vocabulary to include a hyper-specific label for the intersection of fatigue and confusion, when you can finally call it being a hot mess instead of just feeling bad, does that new label actually alter the neurological experience of the emotion? Does the invention of the perfect crayon actually change the sunset?
That is a staggering thought. By learning the word, you might literally be changing the feeling. Definitely something to carry with you the next time you find yourself entirely at your wit's end or completely over the moon. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep trading in those primary colors for the full spectrum and keep analyzing the words you choose. We'll catch you next time.